One day,
Fishy.
we may have curved bullets. Day is not today, however. Rise, of course, as we get into picks and bans. Taken off the table, Braum following as well. Power this pick.
He would be your champion against those curved bullets.
Yeah. Block.
Block.
But sideways shield, I feel like that's awkward.
It's like the whole bodyguard experience where you jump in front of somebody and you're like, no.
See, I feel like Braum fits that to the T. That's why I enjoy Braum as a champion, is you just get that experience.
It's like, sir, why would you get hired? I have a propensity to eat skill shots. Got the job.
Got it. Perfect.
Where did you learn this, Bronze?
That's how you know you're qualified. We both still eat skill shots, and we're both higher than Bronze, and you're significantly higher than I am. But of course, focusing back in on picks, bans, Trundle taken off the table as well. No more tanky stats going to be stolen away from the side of Giants. Azir as well. Vladimir following. Yeah. To be pretty standard aside from that Trundle ban, which has been the shift in focus on the side of Giants.
I think definitely reacting to some of the stronger picks from the previous series is always important in the best-of series. So Trundle being out, I think Giants can play a similar style as they did in Game 1, especially if the Trundle's off the board. They're on blue side right now too. How early are they going to pick up their Victor, rather? And does J just really like his Maokai? We'll find out soon.
Is of course a big question. Fizz the final ban. Nidalee going to be the first pick, given over to Maxlore. Some nerfs on this patch, but still a powerhouse in the jungle and some interesting focus coming out from Giants.
Yeah, from my limited experience on 6-11, it feels like she needs to snowball just a tad right now to be as efficient. But she still has a very high clear speed in the jungle. The strengths are still there for Nidalee.
Absolutely. I mean, keep in mind, of course, Pounce cooldown slightly lowered in the early game, and additionally, the passive range significantly reduced 5,500 to 1,400 when you're chasing
It's a small tweak.
Small tweak. Just a little adjustment. Just gotta.
It's like, yeah, okay, passive range is nerfed. How much? About 3,000.
No, we just leave it at nerf. Yeah, just all of it. It's all gone. Of course, still going to be able to chase people down. Will still have the spears and the ability to follow up here. But H2K, they're not going to let that Victor go back into the hands of Knight. And Jankos, he had some amazing plays week 1 on that Lee Sin. It looks like he's going back to it.
Oh, this is always such a fascinating matchup for me, Lee Sin into Nidalee, because there's such a varying opinion within junglers. Some say it's okay. Other things it's utter garbage. It's like, yeah, if the Nidalee's not 20 CS ahead and just dominating the game, I don't know what she's doing. As opposed to, yeah, you know, Lee Sin has some room for plays. I personally like Lee Sin in the early game if he's played well. And it kind of fits Jankos both as a player right now and his impact on H2K. When he gets rolling, H2K do well. When he falls behind, H2K generally don't do well. And it's even more exemplified when he plays Lee Sin.
And we talked about it last game, of course, jokingly, but I mean, continues to be a part of First Blood in every single game, for better or for worse. And when we saw him play Lee Sin last time, 3 kills in the early game, instant snowball, shutting down the opposition, camping out the enemy top laner, and may look to do it again this time around, although it's going to be interesting to see how he stacks up against Maxlore, 2 early game jungles going toe-to-toe, and the Nami, as well as the TF being locked in, Knight taking the opposite side of this matchup.
So I think this is Giants saying we want some sort of range support, pick it already. We want to hide our other picks because I don't see the need to rush a Nami pick here. I don't see the great value in blind picking her either because it does allow your opponent to pivot. So you're looking for more counter pick potential in the AD carry role here for Sunstar getting some comfort and then lock in that crucial top lane for Hustlin later on, for J later on rather.
Well, speaking of Hustlin, really interesting to see the shift here in terms of picks and bans because last week he played 3 games of the Nautilus support, always looking to have that hard engage option for the team. And thus far, picking up the Nami, picking up the Karma, so much more range supportive style picks, much less engage options. So a pretty big shift from the bot lane of Giants overall.
Yeah, also maybe just a preemptive, you know, sustained counter pick against Zyra. Say, you know what, we try to do poke versus poke and we got outpoked. Let's try and see if we can sustain our way through it. But Ashe Zyra, reminiscent of kind of C9 bot lane playing style, seems to be a very strong lane here. I think we'll see more of it because clearly these teams must have been scrimming it. So every team should be aware of it by now, how strong it is, and I think it will be one of the more staple lanes here, European LCS.
Absolutely. Now paired with the Victor as well, the ability to chain that CC is pretty insane overall. And I mean, great tools to initiate or disengage in these team fights.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what Giants is trying to build here with their composition.
Oh, wow. You hear the crowd cheering. They want the Teemo. They're not going to get it, I think. But of course,
It feels like nobody wants to commit so far on the top 4 picks. Everyone's like, no, after you. You go in, please. I'll play at max range here.
oh,
Wicked?
wait,
Is that you?
is he back? All right, well, Wicked's going to be happy about this. Spending some time in the challenger scene, but of course, Smitty J picking this one up for Giants. This is something that we thought might come out with the changes to Trinity Force. More attack speed, more CDR.
You mean Irelia didn't want the crit?
No, you get the 1% in the runes, and that's enough. That's all you ever need for Aurelia. But interesting, I mean, this composition from Giants, one, has no tank.
No tank. It's literally snowball or bust. Both in the individual jungle matchup as well as the kind of what TF needs to do, especially with nobody creating space for him. I'm just so afraid when Giants enter any teamfight scenario and Aurelia dashes in, but behind her, Stranglethorns gets laid down, and suddenly the team can't follow up. What are they going to do? I guess they'll just skip that part and just start shooting from afar. TF Destiny over, Tidal Wave crossing the jungle, Jin with the ultimate from Sunstar. If he's always late to a fight, at least he might pop his ulti right now. Get some added benefit right there.
The silver lining on the clouds for Giant. This is really interesting because I feel like we talked about there not being enough CC on the Giants team, and they're like, we got this. Now they've got a bubble, they've got a stun from the Aurelia, potentially TF stun, Jin snare, so a little bit more CC this time around, but H2K are like, oh, if you want to add a little more CC, we're more than happy to do so as well, because every single member of this team is a threat if they ever get the opportunity to lock you down, and this team composition is terrifying. Gragas, Victor, Lee Sin, Ashe, Zyra.
I feel like we're playing solo queue versus competitive right here. This is, everybody's like, give me my comfort pick, my power champ. That's how it plays out. We have some interesting poke scenarios though. Whenever somebody gets tagged with like a random wildcard, a spear, then obviously Sunstar can snare them, and that can be the trigger for an instant follow-up with Tidal Wave into bubble, Aurelia going in. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard for predictable CC to land other than Flash Gold card or Flash E from Aurelia.
Of course, as we gear up for this game, though, seeing how these two team comps are going to play out, tweet at LOL Esports, hashtag GIA win if you think comfort picks are going to reign supreme, if you think H2K and this immense amount of CC will come out on top. Tweet hashtag H2K win. We gear up and get into our second game of this series. Giants looking to find their first win as H2K look to find their first 2-0.
And this time it will be H2K that is the team that will have to weather the storm. They need to avoid some of these picks, some of these early power spikes from the Giants lineup, and then weather through, see if they can win the late game. Their late game teamfights are still the same. Victor Ashe combined with his Zyra support, that's always a strong core for a teamfight that can always kite backwards and win teamfights almost against any particular composition.
Seems like a good start, or could potentially be, on the side of Giants. Although Freeze and Vander are getting aggressive as they push in for a bit of vision. Sunstar not happy to grab that poke, but still plenty of time to back out here.
Yeah, you don't want to play the guy that has the incredibly slow attack animation. That makes it very predictable when he's actually going for it, because Ashe is going to say, thank you very much, I'll just poke you every single time.
Zyra happy to join into that party as well. Of course, we've seen what a terror this champion can be. Looks like we will have the lane swap coming out, though. Definitely not a lane they want to play against. Giants once again opting into the swap to avoid this terrifying lane. Smitty J on the Aurelia. One of the big questions we're going to have to answer is, what does Aurelia provide in these lane swap situations? How is she going to fare against the Gragas in these one-on-one matchups?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, Aurelia, I feel like always needs a laning phase. Historically, she wasn't always very strong in lane swaps, but it may still be for the better here for Giants, because playing that the Nami Jin into the Ashe Zyra seems very rough. But then again, you pick your support early, you kind of pick your AD carry, and you still end up with a losing matchup. For me, that means you're losing the draft, right?
And just a really interesting pivot here from Giants in pick ban. I feel like we saw such a defined composition coming in their first game. In game two, it feels significantly more chaotic.
Oh yeah, definitely across the board here. I think people coming with multiple solutions to the same problem, but not very coherent one. Perhaps the best way to sum it up. Let's see. We went over how these lane swaps get played. It's slightly weaker on the side for Giants. Like Jin is not that good in lane swaps, and neither is Nami. So H2K with a very innate advantage. It does seem like this Ashe Zyra is the new silver lane, where they do well in 2v2 and they do even better in lane swap.
Definitely a lot of power here. You can see using the spells. We always talk about this. Clearing the wave with the spells, throwing in a few auto attacks to make it easier. But between Gragas, Ashe, and Zyra, relatively easy to burn through those creeps. And well ahead of the lane swap on the side of Giants at this point in the game, because the tower burning down so quickly.
I mean, there can't be a starker contrast. I may have to retract my statement on Giants being okay with this lane swap. The wealth of AoE abilities on the side of H2K to take down these minion waves, as opposed to what Giants is working with. Just big advantage in terms of clear speed of those minions.
Odo more than happy to pick up some CS here. Fully attempting to bounce the wave. Vision already placed by the remaining members. And this looks like a massive fumble on the side of Giants. Tower will drop eventually, but not before Ashe and Zyra are already in the lane. Smitty not going to get any opportunity to farm out here.
Yeah, this is where you almost have to cheese, where you have to wait for Ashe to kind of walk in, see if you can give her, because if you play tit for tat, you may find yourself too late. And that's what H2K is exactly respecting here. It's like, guys, we need to be a little bit careful. This is the 6th consecutive game where H2K have been in a lane swap. They can't go as far as saying that they have played for it. But if there's any team that should end up in the lane swap every game, it has to be probably.
Happy to play the more macro focus, and things looking a little bit better for the team.
He loves that word, by the way.
Macro?
Yeah, you just overuse it.
Macro.
Like, how's your macro day, Probably? Are you having a macro good time?
Some macro trades having in the mid lane. Wow.
Do you like macro TF into macro Victor? Because for him, it gets overused as like any part of strategy.
I feel like he should be in front of us with a very disappointed look on his face. I mean, he's probably somewhere with a very disappointed look on his face. Or he's smiling, right? Because he loves it.
I don't think he's actually listening to the cast. Coaches have access to team audio.
Yeah, no real time to listen to us banter about his hated words.
He's missing out on my quality analysis. Poor Probably. He'll never improve as a coach.
Yeah. You're a cruel man.
No, that's sarcasm.
I know.
Just specifying for all
just
for
in
the
case
haters out there. Probably is better at macro than
Of course, you can see the trades just happening here on the top side. Will eventually end in the 2v2 that Giants were so determined to avoid. And while the gold does remain even for now, H2K are once again starting to build up a lead. Ryu trading incredibly confidently in this mid lane.
Yeah.
And Knight really just picking up what he can.
Yeah, whenever H2K is dealing with the minion wave, Giants is playing whack-a-mole with the plants, trying to step on as many as they can before Vander can let them spawn.
Such a gamble, though, because if you try to step on it as he's casting an ability, caught up, there's a plant on top of you. Ping's going down in the middle lane. Trying to keep track of that Twisted Fate. Knight not quite level 6 yet.
Knight going for a different style here with the Ghost, as opposed to the TP Twisted Fate for multi-global. So we did get the similar advantage where he pushes in, gets an early catalyst, and forces Victor on the second back. But it's not like quite as large of an advantage. So Ryu definitely more versed in his matchup both ways.
Yep. Lots of experience on these champions and their time in the meta, in and out of the meta.
I like this. Every time Knight wastes a card, Ryu steps into kind of that zone and goes for a short trade. He seems to be a lot more proactive with his Victor play. Definitely understands both sides of the matchup better than Knight.
Definitely where they want to be, and we can take a peek down in the bottom lane as well. Things relatively even now, but because of the way the lane swap did play out, it means that the laning phase will be there for Aurelia for now. However, she's going to have to be very careful. Ashe and Zyra moving in, clearing out these pink wards as Giants start to push in on the top side. So once again, the swap. They want to make sure that this Aurelia does not get time to farm up. And we can't be sure if they have too much experience playing against this. Maybe it's shown up in scrims, or this could just be the pocket pick from Smitty J.
I mean, teams have faced this pick up, or faced off against this pick rather, plenty in their days of League of Legends. Aurelia, such an old champion by now, hasn't really changed in their core. Always been weaker from behind. Almost has to change builds sometimes too, whether you rush Triforce or just get a little bit more tanky. People used to kind of change their ways with that. H2K just looking for vision here to defend themselves.
Of course, Sonstar
Here we go.
Looking for a play. Knight moving in. Freeze locked up. Overextending and taken out instantly. Giants with first blood.
At this point, Knight, should he have not turned for Vander, get a larger advantage out of that? A single kill. Good opening, though. Exactly what you need to do. First ultimate is stuck here for Giants, as opposed to H2K missing their first destiny. Giants, they found their destiny.
Knight more than happy to make that happen for the team, and this is something we were very critical of Freeze of in the past, overextending in these instances. But Jankos, he may not be the first blood participant anymore, but still looking to make things happen. Does have that level 6 available.
Oh, who's catching whom here, though? Mako is here. Oh, the sidestep.
Odoamne locked up and taking a lot of damage. Cask to disengage. Knight moving forward is still going to get stunned up there as the spear lands on Ryu.
And that was communication. Knight knew Maxwell had his back, so he kind of went for the fake out. He predicted the body slam flash from Odoamne and sidestepped it. That was really well played by him.
Oh, Sunstar taking so much damage. Vander starting to rack it up already. He had such a huge presence on the team last time around.
And this laning pattern is fine until Freeze hits level 6, because then he's just going to arrow and Jankos can follow up and get a kill. And now Knight, additional blue buff too.
Waiting for that break point. Jankos not going to notice his red about to drop. Maxlor should be able to steal this one away quite easily. A little unfortunate for the Lee Sin.
Yeah, he definitely needs to play that matchup correctly. And he got the buff away. Literally needs to snowball ahead of Lee Sin. And Jankos is losing a lot of time here on some of these kind of half-attempted ganks, covering grounds for his bot lane. Smitty's doing his best to catch up and farm.
Yeah, doing well so far, 52 to 55, not that much of a difference, but the Nidalee, 46 to 33, approaching that 20 CS difference. So definitely a solid lead there over the all, but the rest of the lanes remain relatively even. Gragas now with a decent lead as he manages to catch that wave, so happy to have that one, and Smitty working on that Stinger, the new component for this Trinity Force. Trying to be able to trade effectively, but no tanky options coming out yet. So it looks like just rushing right to that Trinity Force.
Yeah. Don't think we're going to see any tanky options on Giants. It's just going to go in flying, overwhelm them with damage or die. It's probably going to be the mantra here.
Have to see Knight a little bit more comfortable in these trades, but still taking so much return damage from Ryu on the back half of that laser.
Yeah, if you can't get him pushed in, Victor actually has solid trading potential. You have to walk into Q range. Jankos looking around again, though. Maxor a full level ahead, it seems. Ooh, and found out.
Fat chunk of damage, the difference between that completed jungle item and the pieces on the side of Lee Sin. So Jankos giving up a lot of that farm. Maxlor continuing to grow this lead. Actually giving a lead, gold lead over to Giants overall, 16.3 to 15.6.
Yeah, and I like that they're grouping with each other right now, because individually hustling can easily get picked off, but together with Maxlor, they should be fine, fending for their own. Sunstar is being kept in the game. Freeze has to be careful because the looming threat of Destiny is always there. This is Giants' time. They have an earlier ramp, an earlier power spike here. Good trade from Knight. They're definitely in control of the early to mid game, and they need to get as much advantage out of it as they can, because later H2K obviously get ahead.
Yep, have that tanky front line. Aren't going to get that dragon, however. Sunstar is throwing up some damage on the backside. Jankos happy to block that bullet for Vander. Ryu getting aggressive in the mid lane, so a lot of trades back and forth, but Giants happy to pick up the first dragon and extend their gold lead to 1,000. This stage of the game, but as you said, they need this lead. They have to get ahead because their team comp has so many vulnerabilities.
Yeah, especially then getting a Mountain Drake is really good, because these high damage comps, they struggle with obviously tanking Baron, but later on Giants can do it very quickly with the amount of just sheer damage they have across the board. Obviously Aurelia can tank a little bit, so that's how they want to snowball. They want to take control of the map, and then they want to get these big kind of epic monsters, take them down, the Baron, the Elder, see if they can snowball.
Pings coming out from H2K, figuring out their lane assignments. Vander and Freeze sticking together. No real roam opportunities from the Zyra support. Talked about it before. Too squishy, too immobile to really wander safely like that Bard or one of the more tanky picks.
And they're hiding their weaknesses well here, Giants, with their lane assignments. Putting Sunstar, low mobility, predictable clear, easily caught out on Jin. They put him in the mid lane, and they swap TF to the side lane. That obviously removes one angle for Destiny. He can no longer join the top side of the map, so that will be for Maxlord to take care of. But he can add pressure here. Pushing bot, moving to the mid lane, see if he can get that mid lane tower down. That's the one that H2K want to defend here. That one falls, the map opens up. And Giants can play. And all it takes really is for Ryu to step on a random trap and eat a snare. Max range. Could be enough. He'll have to cleanse out of that one at least.
So now it looks like TF gonna have to be very careful. Knight not opting for the cleanse or the teleport this time. Means he's very vulnerable to those arrows, and Yanko's moving in to clear out the vision. H2K seem ready to set up the pick, but we just haven't seen them pull the trigger quite yet.
Yeah, tidal wave into, is it Deadly Flourish? Yeah, could be a combo too. There won't be any traps from Sunstar because he actually hasn't skilled Captive Audience just yet. Arrow goes out.
Arrow is going to go wide. Knight may be looking for a way out, but he knows he cannot afford to try to teleport while Lee Sin is up and available. Flash looking for it, kick back into the team. Some fancy footwork. Knight going to get burned down here. Just a matter of time. H2K picking up their first kill of the game.
Yeah, that was a good concept, but the wrong execution. I think he wanted to stun Jankos and flash a snare from Vander and then pour it out, but I think he misclicked.
Yeah, can't afford to make those small mistakes. Giants, though, now shifting their attention to the bottom side of the map. They're not giving up anything else in this exchange, but that means Ryu more than happy to have the time to extend this CS differential in the mid lane. Now approaching that 20 mark as he pushes in that final wave.
And Odawan is keeping Smitty J down in the top lane. 20 CS lead, he can't get through it. Yep, once out of ulti stacks. Really, was never going to kill anybody.
Unfortunate. Maybe the Sheen will be the difference maker there, but at the end of the day, Gragas just so tanky, so much built-in sustain, and we'll get one more look at this play.
So Arrow comes out a little early, honestly. Could have waited with that if you're freeze. And right here, he goes for the stun. Yeah, I think if he, and this is like nitty-picky, or nitty-gritty rather, if he stuns, as we see Odawan phase out here, if he stuns the Lee Sin, flashes a snare, maybe that's enough window to port out.
Yeah, of course, very short-range port as well, so don't even know if it would have been enough to take him to safety there in the end, but clearly, very intense situation for Knight, and did the best he could overall, but just simply too many people managed to get on top of him, and overextending just a bit in that side lane does cost a decent amount as the gold has now evened up. Dragons, of course, still in favor of Giants with that single Mountain Drake. Next one on the board is going to be the Cloud, however, so no major advantages going to be gained if they do manage to pick that one up. Knight headed back in the mid lane. Once again, just both of these mid laners clearing out waves, both sides looking for these pick opportunities. TF, Jin, Nami, hoping for that setup, hoping for that range snare. The Ashe, the Zyra, Lee Sin maybe looking for that arrow.
A lot of hope. Not too much happening.
Yeah.
That's the
very calm. It's kind of tough.
That's when we rephrase it as both teams are truly respecting each other's zones.
I love how many buzzwords can we use? Really, the zone control coming out on the side of H2K and
zone on that arrow.
Zoned. Boom.
Zoning. He lets the zoning arrow in his natural habitat.
He's in his head now, though. He knows Knight's always going to step forward, so you know he's adjusting. It's about the mind games here.
But do you then shoot forward again?
Oh my God! No
Wait,
chance.
I looked at you for a second. Where did Hustling go?
You see, what happened was damage, as it turns out.
Deforestation.
Clearing that out. Got to get some more lumber, you know.
Lumberjack, lumberjack, lumberjack.
He just wanted sushi for lunch. It's a hungry team, you know. They've been here for a while. Throwing out ultimates.
Do you truly go for sushi if you're hungry, though? It fills at a...
Yeah, it's very different. Yeah, it's like you go if you want to, like, appreciate... No, man, we need schnitzel. You're hungry, you just eat a ton of schnitzel.
Nice. Yeah, so he died. He got evaporated. Death rush. Makes you wonder why he stepped into it, though. He's like, oh, arrow's gone. Clearly, all the threat is gone.
And that's actually... so much damage coming out from the side of Giant, or H2K rather. You really got to respect this, although Ryu could be in trouble here. Moving forward, Knight moving forward, has the stun, cleanse immediately. Jankos still in the thick of it, but just not enough lockdown there.
And that cleanse summoner spell is going to make it so hard for Giants here. Excellent choice by Ryu over in Champ Select, because a lot of the CC crowd effects here are conditional on being layered. Ryu takes an arrow, you get an arrow, you get an arrow. Well, a bullet rather.
Snare going to land.
That's
Arrow
down.
lands as well. Commitment onto Knight. Knight instantly burned down. The range on those abilities simply too much. Aurelia not going to complete the TP as you see in the picture-in-picture, and H2K defend the tower.
Yeah, H2K working together. There's no cleanse on the side of Giants, however, so when Knight gets hit by that actual arrow, not the bullet, instant lockdown, and you could see that H2K was communicating that almost ahead of time. Everybody's ready to follow up. Instant flash from Vander.
I mean, overall, really well executed on the side of H2K. Backing off, completing up those first items. Interestingly enough, Freeze opting for the QSS here.
It just plays in what we were talking about just before that play. How conditional the crowd control effects were on layering. They need to get in one after the other. So connect the snare into bubble, into tidal wave, into gold card. If one of them breaks, you step out of all the other ones, because there's only one targeted CC here. That is the gold card, and that's usually the one that comes out first. If you then cleanse out of that, the bubble's gonna miss. Flourish is gonna miss. Everything's just gonna follow up, and Giants will step into an expected zone. And they can be efficient.
Talked about Ryu though. They're chaining the CC. He does manage to get the flash out, and that means TF is set to drop Max floor next on the list. H2K with 2 quick kill pickups.
Yeah, almost out of nowhere, Ryu gets caught, but just a fraction of a second was enough for him to flash out. And again, both follow-up CCs miss. Ryu turns around with the ulti. Giants step into a zone where they expect somebody to be locked down. Suddenly he's out of his cage. It's like, who the hell are you out here, Ryu? And they're burning down.
And that's the thing I want to talk. We talked last game about TF and the risk of leaping into that Victor range, and that's exactly what we saw unfold. Knight trying to get that chain CC set up as we see the Cloud Drake drop here. Doesn't work out. Ryu throws down that gravity field, knows that he's going to have the CC, and easily able to get out of that because of just these minor missteps from Giants.
Yeah, and Eye of the Watchers and Magic Pen Boots already down on Vander, so he's pretty much a second AP carrier at this point.
I feel like it's almost comic relief now every time Freeze throws an arrow at him.
I think we need better sound effects on missed arrows.
Wah, 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 wah. Every time now, Crab, we got to commit.
I mean, you're play-by-play, that's your job. I talk off to the action.
Yeah, you gave us...
Baited you in that one, didn't I?
Of course, coming back into this. Everything relatively even at this stage of the game, despite the trades back and forth. Giants only about 1,000 gold behind at 20 minutes. Things appear to be fine moving forward, but both teams still waiting around those major cooldowns, waiting to layer that CC. It's Shrek the game. Layers.
Yeah. Exactly. An onion of CC. But the Giants right now, it is making them cry because they really can't find a way out. They tried a couple of times, didn't succeed.
Oh.
Ankus gets hit, goes to his teammates.
Jumps out. TF all coming in as well. This could be an overstep. Knight kicked out of the zone, though. Is going to get burned down pretty quickly. Will run out to safety. Nami happy to provide that movement speed.
All right.
Just to trade a cooldown.
Yeah, that was a good stun onto Jankos because he almost wanted to use Knight as a vessel out of that fight. And they needed to make that play right there, right then. Because there was no teleport on Oduamne. Smitty had his from canceling it earlier on.
Arrow comes out. Not going to find purchase there. Knight with a quick sidestep. But suddenly Freeze once again. Alone under the tower, doing what he can to defend. But there are more members moving down. Freeze trying to get the kill on the Knight. The flash out, not going to be enough. Smitty picking that one up. Giants descending on the tower.
See, I think even if he gets that kill, it's not worth using your QSS flash for it. At this point, just yield if you're Freeze. You get taken down. I like this from Giants. It looked like they couldn't ever find a way to punish H2K. Couldn't get the CC layering, but instead they found an opening on Jankos, slightly overextending. There was no counter teleport, but right now H2K, while the game is still uneven in gold, they have TP advantage. So when everybody's on the map again, we need to see if they can then turn that teleport advantage to an actual play.
Yeah, and we'll get one more look at this exchange in the jungle.
The danger of getting hit by just one auto attack, or just a bounce here from the Nami W. That's for Tiny Snare, and here we need to see Jankos. He kicks him out, but he gets stunned right there, and then gets dropped because he was trying to use Knight as a vessel out. So creative thinking there by Jankos, but he ran out of HP. and time.
Yeah, and really interesting to see the confidence coming in there from Giants. A good first step for them as a team, and it's working out well. I want to kind of focus in on the bot lane here, because we have the QSS from Freeze, which makes a lot of sense. But this Jhin build, it's been a while since we've seen Jhin. Priority on the Youmu's into the Maw. We're not even going to have time to talk about it, because Yanko's looking for some revenge. Freeze wants to pick up a kill as well. No QSS, so Yankos is going to have to snag that one, but quick and easy on the side of H2K.
Yeah, the kick was very close to going the other way, so Yankos doing it at the earliest time possible, get him around, so he gets picked off there, Knight. Yeah, very just early game power spike build here. Nami getting face checking.
Locked up. One ult shot hits.
Might be enough if it all hits.
Oh, great sidestep. Dodges the spear and the fourth shot. No curtain call for Ryu. He's happy to keep this show going.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of inexperience. Once you hit the first one, usually you should be able to hit all of them if you're a good Jhin player. And even go for the slightly delayed shot. If you put them on cooldown, you make it so that the enemy actually has a good dodge pattern. But if you shoot them at quasi-random intervals, it's really hard for people to kind of juke their way out.
Sunstar, maybe not 100% comfortable there. Almost had the perfect kill setup for the team overall, but once again, just not quite able to pull that one out. Surprisingly, despite all of the action across the map, the gold remains even, and this is pretty much entirely due to the massive CS differential in the mid lane, as well as the steadily growing one on the bottom side of the map, 215 to 191, and of course, 139 to 86. Yankos pretty incredibly far behind here. Ooh, nice flash from Maxor to dodge that arrow.
Good arrow. Freeze this time, forcing summoners. Maxor defending kind of the entry point to his mid laner Knight. Now in the top lane.
Plant spawning up, doing a decent amount of damage to Maxor. Yankos potentially caught out. Destiny used.
See, I don't like this play because it goes against to what Giants is building up right now. They were building up a rotation and a bit of a siege in the top lane, and they used Destiny to go for a pick in the jungle that H2K was defending anyways. So very counterintuitive, it seems. Knight could have been here, hitting away at the tower, chunking it. Obviously, you always want to pull the trigger, see if you can make a pick. You don't have the full vision. You don't know how many people are there. But still, a rather presumptuous Destiny here. Waste of cooldowns in the end for Giants, and they need to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, of course, Knight has been incredibly aggressive on this TF, consistently going in there. You can see 1, 4, and 2. Happy to help get the kills for Giants, 100% kill participation, but making up 2/3 of his team's deaths. Looking forward. Freeze and Ryu, though, holding up the mid lane, and the rest of the H2K waiting in this brush, hoping to grab a pick. They want to grab this Mountain Drake for themselves. This is where their team composition is really going to start to be strong.
Yeah, defending objectives, definitely agree there. Using the Zyra ulti, if you can get into a choke point, it is so hard for this non-tanky Giants lineup to enter. So they definitely need to look to cross-map. Giants right now are looking at tier 2 tower in the top lane. But Smitty J disappeared somewhere.
Be moving into the mid lane to try to burn this through this. Smitty J, of course, burned down in the meantime. However, it will be the trade of towers in the end, so the gold continues to be even, but H2K happy to pick up that Mountain Drake. Their second dragon of the game overall, and just minor missteps for Giants, still making good moves to get it back, but we'll get one more look at this.
Yeah, and this is just something that just can't happen right now. If you look at Giants as a team, the first thing you do is you identify an objective. What are we playing for, is the question asked in team comps. Well, we're playing for top side. All right, that means bottom side is generally weak. That is an assumption you can always make if your shot calling is somewhat correct. It's like, okay, we're strong on top side. De facto, we are weak on bottom side, which means very careful pathing. Take the long route into the mid lane. There is no sense of urgency to go mid because all you need to do is posture defensively. They're doing dragon, and Smitty J, kind of gets picked off, and it's these small mistakes that add up to a larger deficit. If Giants wouldn't have made some of their smaller mistakes, they could have been farther ahead, and that's what they need because they're getting outscaled map control-wise by H2K.
Yeah, absolutely, because going even for H2K is completely acceptable. We talk about Giants needing a massive gold lead. Smitty J looking to build one for himself. Maxwell coming in. Odo potentially in trouble.
He's buying time. What can H2K do on the back of this, though? Odo's going to drop. That's a given. But there was an arrow in the mid lane that went wide, so the cross map play from H2K backfired. Good sidestep from Giants. And Ryu stuck in the top lane here. So this is Odo Omni essentially overextending. If you're playing a 1-3-1 scenario and there's nothing you can get on the other side of the map if you're caught out, then you're overextending.
Completely agree. This could be the opportunity for Giants to grow their lead. That tower relatively low. The flank potentially open. Knight and Maxwell pushing forward. Aurelia on the bottom side as well. They may look to turn this into 2 towers. They keep the pressure up, and H2K have to respond.
Yeah, you can definitely see the rotation kind of written out in the map here. Zero vision in the jungle. The wave just arrived at the second tower here. Really solid play here from Giants. And this is kind of a 3-phase play. Let's see if they can get any fight out of this on the side of H2K. Giants, they can kite or bottom left of your screen, teleport.
Waiting for it. Here comes Odo, maybe looking for the engage. No flash at his disposal. We'll have the cask in just a second, waiting for it, but the disengage is so good, and the arrow goes completely wide.
Ooh, we have to question these arrows from Freeze at this point. I mean, the occasional whiff is okay, but it's definitely lackadaisical.
Definitely not what H2K wanted. Really hoping to find that engage. You saw Jankos aggressively moving on those front lines, hoping to find a kick, hoping to find an opportunity to go in. And now Giants, gold lead once again in their favor, 5 towers to 3. Baron up and available if they do want to take it, and they may not have the tools quite yet, but if they keep getting picks like this, it should be a pretty easy game for them.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say easy. Hang on there.
Okay.
It's a big leap there, but
Picks,
definitely...
we'll let them get Baron. Baron will make things easier.
Baron generally helps. Picks are definitely translating into advantages here, and this is all off the back of that pick in the bottom lane that did not get answered. They went mid, rotated bot. They picked off the easiest objectives, though. The outer turrets right now, Giants. And H2K, a lot more condensed here. Arrow comes out. Remember, there's a Mikhail's Crucible available on Hustlin. So anybody else can take the arrow for him, and he will repay that debt in kindness with a good old cleanse. Giants, they just want to scope the area here. They don't want to commit. One of the major counter-engage tools from H2K is gone. I think the H2K will have to start Baron, because otherwise, the same thing that happened last game with the reverse teams will happen, where Aurelia split pushes. So we're looking for a fight here. Stop the Baron.
Happening right now. Knight moving forward, does have the gold card available. Baron incredibly low. Can they get it? Lee Sin going to pick that one up. Chaos Storm rushing towards Knight and the rest of Giants, but they hesitate on pulling the trigger, and H2K walk away with the advantage.
Yeah, Giants, they got the expected reaction out of their play almost, but they were too slow on the trigger. Maxlor with his best pinball cosplay, he got knocked around that fight. Knocked in by Odawamna, up by Zyra Ultimate, sideways by Lee Sin Kick. Didn't get in smite range, and yeah, really solid execution here. And again, the power of the Stranglethorns defending an objective. That's what Giants failed to calculate into their movement. It's like, okay, Baron, 4,000, 5,000 health. Let's swoop in, see if we can start a fight. They're distracted. They're lower. See if we can finish them off. But look how quick this Baron goes down. 3.5k, 2.5k. Maxlor in, up, sideways. Yeah, nowhere near completion of that smite. Really solid execution here by H2K.
Glad you were watching. I was like, are they going to get the Baron? Are they going to get the Baron? Shots coming in. And it's just in the meantime, Maxlor, as you said, ping pong, flying around. Like, I'm sure that's great.
It's fun.
There's your amusement park experience, the roller coaster for Maxlor. H2K, though, now pushing down the middle lane, looking like they have a lot more confidence. And this is really where Giants are going to start to struggle because they do not have that tanky front line.
Yeah, and look at Ryu as well. He's putting up he's preparing phase 2 here. So H2K, with Ryu in the top lane, they're indicating that they want tier 1 tower or tier 2 tower in mid lane and a potential option on the second tower in top. If not, they just go in.
Good engage. Hustlin going to get burned down. Odo happy to grab that one. Jankos locked up for a second, but finally Freeze gets that arrow. Knight dropping as well. Easy pickup for H2K. Maxlor having to flash to safety, but the inhibitor now poised to go down, and this is really where the team's strengths come to fruition. Baron buff, the gold lead now in their favor, and they're pushing to end the game. Curtain call comes out. It's going to block a few shots, but not a whole lot to stop H2K. Smitty maybe looking for a way in here.
Yeah, these plants can always tank a couple turret shots too. Curtains are closing here. 5 versus 3. Hustle's going to spawn. But as a Nami at this point in the game, not much you can bring to the table. Smitty goes in.
Oh, goes in and immediately goes down. Maxlor as well tries to make it in, but it's not enough. The power of Victor too strong. H2K don't even have to care about the PvP anymore. All that's left is to burn down the Nexus, but they're going to give the triple kill over to Ryu. He kind of wants to make it a quadra, and as H2K look to set him up for it. They also look to get their first 2-0. A little bit of BM here as they hop into that base. The shutdown comes out, but it is simply not enough to stop the 2-0 coming out from H2K.
Yeah, and what an accelerated finish there out of nowhere. Giants initiated the map play with the split push, but H2K had the correct reaction ready. And then they burned down the Baron with the disengage from the Zyra. 1, 0, and 10 again from Vander here. Same build, Magic Pen, Eye of the Watchers into Leandri's
H2O,
second AP carry.
H2O, H2K, H2O, H2K.
You can see the team on your screen happy to have their first 2-0 after tying it up both times in the first week, and really stellar performance from them in the end there to make that composition work, but still I felt like some pretty big points of weakness.
Yeah, definitely weaknesses to be exploited here, or to be shored up by probably a little boot camp. But Freeze's initiation in the whole H2 What H2K dance for the first time. Hopefully not the last for him.
Hoping to find more wins as we move forward in Giants. That was a rough loss, but I feel like there were some good glimmers of hope in game 1.
See, there's always these phases in these Giants games where you're like, if they can build on that, yes. But then we also have to go back to the draft. When a team is putting something together, like this team comp, you know they're kind of stretching already. Like,
yeah.
You know, guys, how about we try something different? You know, the good old no tank, really top. The most worrisome part for me is the early rotation on Nami is like, okay, we early pick our support. We go for the counter pick AD carry. We see the enemy bot lane and we still don't have an answer. They knew they were playing against Ashe Zyra game 1. Then they played against it again, and they couldn't deal with it because they had to swap away from it. And then they had an Aurelia in the lane swap. So it doesn't really make sense, especially because in the lane swap, all these 3 picks, Aurelia, Jhin, and Nami, are incredibly slow because none of them can actually AoE the minions. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario.
And really what was odd to me is that we saw a shift in pick ban priority in terms of banning away the Trundle, right? Making sure that option to shut down tanks wasn't there. And then Giants didn't opt to pick up a tank. They went for the Aurelia instead, and it makes that ban feel really lackluster overall. And it seems like Giants really just didn't have that one figured out. But, of course, to give us a view of that game, Quickshot is standing by with Vander.